So what did you watch this week, Tom?
This week I watched
Obsession.
Written and directed by Currybarker. Jamie, we talked about this in our pre-call, but you have not seen Obsession, have you?
No, I've not seen it yet. Hopefully I will soon. I've heard really good things about it. It's one of those movies from the past couple of weeks that everyone is talking about because it was made by a YouTuber.
It was so something I didn't know about this movie until recently. I started doing a little bit of research into it afterwards. I first of all, I thought the movie was great, by the way. This movie was actually completed I think a year or two ago, and I think that there was a bidding war and like all that sort of thing. I don't know how much money Curry Barker ended up getting in total, but it did. This movie was around for a little bit. It was on the festival circuit, and then I think he eventually sold it. I think that this movie was only it was what $750,000. It was less than $1 million to make
Yeah.
this movie, and if my understanding is correct, Curry Barker funded I think most of this movie himself, and it is very impressive what he was able to, in my opinion, what he was able to pull off with such a limited budget. If you told me this was a $20 million movie, a $30 million movie, I would have probably just said, yeah, okay. But like to hear that this movie was a less than $1 million, which I know sounds like maybe a lot of money, but to shoot an entire film, that's like nothing. It very impressive first studio, and I know that Curry Barker has made independent stuff before, and he's made
Hmm.
things for YouTube, but for a first studio film, very impressive. So I'll give you the tagline of the movie. I'll give you a little
Yeah. I'm
synopsis, and then
ready.
you can tell me. Basically, there is a very lonely and sad 20 something. He is deeply in love with one of his coworkers. They have this little friend, and this is going to be no spoilers for anybody. Deeply in love with one of his coworkers, and all of these coworkers kind of all hang out with each other. Deeply in love with her, makes a wish on this thing called a one wish willow, and
Okay.
predictably disastrous things start to happen after making a wish upon this device called a one wish willow. It's kind of like the I don't know if you ever heard that old the monkey's paw,
Yeah, I've heard that all the time. I mean, to be fair, what was it
like
that
that.
Raka Raka did something very similar to it as well, almost, didn't they? With the well, I
They
mean, it wasn't quite exactly the same, but it reminded me of that when they did it.
I will say that yes, I think that Raka Raka did something a little bit similar. And from what I read, I think Curry Barker said he was inspired by a Simpsons episode to make this.
Oh yeah,
I think it was
I could see that.
I think it was the monkey's paw episode of The Simpsons, but I read a trivia thing that said that Curry Barker was inspired by that episode of The Simpsons
That's
to
amazing.
make
I did
this
not know
movie.
that.
Yeah. Something I didn't really realize, and I've seen a few of Curry Barker's videos. This movie had very funny moments in it, almost like a surreal type of comedy. And his the thing that I really liked about this movie is that it kind of like it sets the movie up, and then it just keeps getting worse and worse and it keeps going in that direction, and you keep going, it can't get any worse than this. It can't get any worse than
Okay.
this. It couldn't possibly get any worse than what's happening here. And he is somehow able to continue getting weirder and grosser, and it just keeps getting worse. And for everybody, but specifically the main characters, keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And I will also say the main character, his name is Michael Johnson. That's the actor who played the main character. His acting is good. He's good at his role as this kind of lonely, losery type guy. He's kind of like a dope. Indy Navarrete, who plays the love interest in this movie, she is so good in this role. She starts off as kind of just like a regular 20 something
Yeah.
just regular lady, she is so good at playing these like wild mood swings that the character requires for this role. She is I won't be surprised if she doesn't win. She doesn't get at least get a nomination for best actress.
Really?
She's yes, she's very 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 good in this role, and it's super fun to watch her. This is the type of role that you see the actor or actress performing, and this is a performance. And I feel like often you can tell that a character is they're acting. She seems like she's having a very good time because she's able to go from like and it's almost like her the way that she's portraying it is almost like a cartoon character, because I think it's supposed to be like, you know, she's the one wish willow has worked its magic upon her, and she goes from like sad to like extremely angry to psychotic to happy to normal to possessed to like all of these different ranges of emotion, and she's able to do it so well. She's the standout of this movie 100%. Curry Barker's script is also, he took kind of a what could be a cliched story idea, like the idea of like, you know, you make a wish, something bad happens, and he's reinvented it. And I feel like the reason that his script works so well is that yes, Indy Navarrete and Michael Johnson and Cooper Tomlinson do a very, like, everybody's acting is very good in this. His direction is very very good, but I also feel like his script is smart, and I think because he did comedy on YouTube as well, he, like, things that shouldn't be funny, he's able to, like, I think anytime he kind of backs himself into a corner with the writing, he puts a joke in there. And I feel like Zach Kreger does the same thing with his movies. Okay. And I think if you're already a funny person and a funny writer, I think that it benefits your scripts greatly when you're like, okay, I'm going to put a really absurd, funny scene in here, and I can play that for laughs, and then I can go right into something super scary. And he can kind of like write himself out of a lot of situations where other writers might get stuck. I loved it. Obsession might be my favorite movie of the year so far. It's very, very, very good. And I don't know if we have an official ranking system here, Jamie.
I don't think we do. Feel free to do it. Why not?
Are we going to do a star system?
I don't feel like I don't really like doing that stuff. So, but yeah, feel free to make something up. Why not? Give it a go.
I'll give it slices of pizza.
Let's do that. Slice of pizza.
Let's say a pizza has 8 slices. A traditional pizza has 8 slices.
Fantastic.
This is the whole pie.
Wow. He's given a whole pie on Obsession. Pie. Wow.
And whole pie with pepperoni.
Whoa! Oh my God, we're adding toppings to our ratings as well.
Yep, we're adding toppings. I didn't
realize this is what we're doing.
This movie is very, very good, and something else. And this is not spoiler. Something that worked so well in this movie, and I remember leaving the theater, and I was like, "That's such a smart move." Is he's really good at basically the evil character, the character who is now exhibiting symptoms of evil in the movie. He often puts them in shadow, and he puts really subtle makeup on them, so they have you have to kind of look at it, but the character's face has an uncanny valley element to it, but you can't really tell. It's just like your brain registering that something's not right. And he does this often in the movie, and this is probably something that didn't cost him very much money to do that sort of effect. It's just lighting and subtle makeup, but it works so well in this movie, and it creates a really unsettling experience. Great movie. I loved it. I can't wait for you to see it. It was very, very good.
Convincing me to check it out. I actually want to go back to one of the points that you mentioned. You mentioned that obviously the actress might end up getting an Oscar. The one thing I'd probably say to that, though, is would they? Because obviously the Oscars is a little bit... this can kind of be seen as an outside threat to the Hollywood area. And with Kane, with obviously this guy, and obviously Markiplier as well with the Iron Lung stuff, do you think
Mhm.
they would consider this as worth going into? Because it's also horror as well. Two things that that Hollywood has kind of been rejecting to work with for the last several years, which is YouTubers and horror movies. Do you actually think that
Yeah.
she could, with how, do you think her performance is that good that it would grab their attention to get an Oscar
I
nomination? That
I
is.
I do. I think her performance is extremely I can't think of anything else that I've seen this year from a female actress. I can't think of anybody's performance that's this strong this year. Also, to your point about the Hollywood system being threatened by these YouTubers,
Hmm.
I think something that both of us know is that Hollywood is they're fixated on money, right?
Yeah.
And like success. These movies, both Obsession, I believe it keeps performing better week over week
Hmm.
to like an unignorable degree of success. And it had a ridiculously high rating on Rotten Tomatoes too. I think it was like a 97% or something on Rotten Tomatoes.
Damn.
I think that this movie, and I think that Backrooms, and I think Markiplier to a large degree as well. I think that these YouTube and Raka Raka's movies as well. I think that these movies, even Chris Stuckman from last year did
Oh
Shelby
yeah.
Oaks. Shelby Oaks performed. I don't know exactly how much it made on its budget, but it made way over its budget in the box office. I think that it's now to the point, specifically with Raka Raka's movies, with the Backrooms, and with Obsession. These movies have been so successful that I think that Hollywood is just they can't ignore it. And I think especially a point that I've heard is that uh Disney released a new Star Wars movie which has yet to make its budget back. So
Mm,
audiences, I don't think that audiences care about big, at least not to the degree that they did. Audiences
true.
are not going to cinemas to see Avengers Part 57. They're not going to see Star Wars Part 300. They're not going to see these movies anymore. So I do think that now that there's this shifting of the old guard into I think that this is a paradigm shift.
It
I think
is.
that
I
this
think
is
so.
right. I think that this is showing that on a relatively modest budget, even Backrooms had a $10 million budget, which
Mm,
sounds like a lot of money for a movie, but for a major studio release, $10 million is not that much money. So, and then like, how much did the new Star Wars cost? $300 million to make, something ridiculous, $400 million.
something insane. And I think what I learned as well with Obsession, I think it overtook the Star Wars movie
It did, yeah.
after yeah, it was near the top, then it started dropping, and then the Star Wars movie came out, and then it overtook it again. And that is crazy, which
Yeah.
I don't think that Hollywood in that way would probably start ignoring them. But I do wonder if they'd undermine it a little bit with the Oscars, because that it did take a little bit before they started doing that with Netflix, because Netflix originals were originally seen as, you know, things to not really take seriously. And then I think they've
Mhm.
started now officially, obviously, getting people nominated from streaming services and things like that. But I do remember there was a
Mhm.
time when they were very against nominating that kind of stuff for an Oscar and all that kind of thing. So I was just
I
curious if
think
there's a little bit to go before we get somewhere with Oscars. I know Hollywood would start hiring these
I
people, I think, but I don't know
I don't
if.
I feel like I do feel like the shift is here, and I think that these two movies specifically, Obsession and Backrooms, have been so phenomenally successful that
Yeah,
I think that Hollywood is going to like have to recognize that.
yeah,
And I think that this is like how it usually works with things like Hollywood specifically. I think that they have to be like forced to do this.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she's nominated. She's very she's going to get quite a few acting roles after this. I'm willing to bet. But yeah, this movie is great. I strongly urge everybody to go and see it. It's very, very good.
Heck yeah. Very nice. Lovely. I guess I'll go into something that I've seen then, since we're doing a back and
Yes. What did
forth. What did I
Yes,
see?
what did you see this week, Jamie?
This week. Well, I'm gonna go by this week actually, because the other movie I was telling you about, and then obviously that's one I saw a couple of weeks ago. But I'll do it in another one. This one I actually
Mm.
did see this week. It's technically not a movie, but I want to talk about it here anyway because I find it really interesting. It's called Tiptoe. It is a British TV series, mini series, I believe it is, because it's only just started literally last week. There's only 2 episodes out right now. But it's
Mhm.
written by Russel T Davies, for anyone who doesn't know. The Doctor Who guy went on to do a lot of other
Uh,
stuff over here as well.
uh,
But yes, he has written a story. It's a little the best way I can say it, it's definitely a drama with a little hint of a little bit of dark humor in there as well. But it's a story about a homosexual man who is living next door to a heterosexual man who is a little
mhm.
bit. I guess the best way to say is he's one of those kinds of people that is accepting of people who are gay, but he's one of those that's like don't throw it in my face type approaches. One of those kind of
So it's like
guys.
performative acceptance or something.
I guess something else. It's one of those where that well, it's like he's accepting of it, but he would and he'll like talk to you and stuff, but he wants to keep an arm's length away, so he just doesn't want anything to do with that kind of person. I
Mhm.
think in that kind of regard. But the reason I bring this up is because it's very in tune with the times and the things that have been happening right now, because it is all to do with obviously people being on their phones and the amount of stuff that they are consuming, the amount of kind of hostility that is going around on the internet. How one moment you could be looking at something super cheerful, the next thing you could be watching literally someone held at gunpoint in on a TikTok or on a Twitter, as we know.
Mhm.
And the reason I'm going to bring this up is because this series opens up with the basically a crime scene. The main character strung up on a lamppost, no longer alive, and then it cuts to 10 days earlier, and the entire series is essentially following, I guess, his story until that particular part, because we don't know what's really going to happen until it gets
Oh,
to that. There's only six
interesting.
episodes. And it's really interesting. I've been fascinated by it so far because yeah, he obviously is just kind of living his life. He is living in Manchester, I believe, because they mentioned Canal Street. And he has, I believe, a bar that obviously he hires basically a lot of people. He's inclusive, obviously, brings as many people. He's
Mhm.
hired trans bar staff. He's obviously hired anyone in the LGBTQ plus community.
Mhm.
But obviously, they're noticing that something isn't right now. They're in 2026, and 30 years ago, it was almost like hopeful that the future was going to be looking much brighter for them. The reason I was won over
Mhm.
by this was because there was a speech, and I'll kind of read out the very first part of this speech because it's like a monologue in a play. It was from one of his friends, and they were sat out in Canal Street, surrounded by pride flags, and they were just kind of having a little drink. And one of the guys said, "Do you think it's coming back?" Hinting at the homophobia that is going around. And his friend, who's in makeup, and turns around and says, "Do I think it's coming back? It already is back, you fucking idiot." And then this whole monologue kind of is what won me over to watch the show, because it's there's actually a short on Channel 4's YouTube channel that I can probably send you a link to, where it has
Yeah,
a
I'll
little
check it out.
monologue of him talking about how, in a strange kind of way, he believes that they kind of forced the LGBTQ plus community to come out, like made them feel comfortable. And now that they're comfortable out and proud, they're essentially in the shooting line. And and that is kind of the feeling that you get when watching this series. It's
Mhm.
definitely not for the faint of heart, this kind of series, but that monologue won me over, and I have been kind of very interested in seeing where this series is going, because there's a lot more reveals that continue through it. I've forgotten the name, but the neighbor, the kind of little bit of a homophobic neighbor. It's the guy that
Mhm.
plays the governor in The Walking Dead. I keep blagging his name. Is it
Oh yeah,
David?
he's a good.
Uh,
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Forget his name, but so sorry if he's ever watching this. But yeah, I am. It's a really interesting series so far. There's only been 2 episodes out. The final 3 episodes, I believe, are coming out over the next 3 days. So I have a sneaky suspicion each episode is going to be like 3 days to go, 2 days to go,
Mhm.
1 days to go before the incident that we saw at the very beginning of the series. And I can already see what seems to be happening is, people consuming their phones. That guy, the neighbor, is on his phone. I think it is this slow boiling frog scenario of building to.
It's like literally the brain rot of like social media,
Yes,
like
yeah,
infecting
exactly.
them.
Exactly. And so, yeah, really, I'm fascinated by it because, yeah, like I said, only just came out. I don't that monologue won me over to just give it a watch, and I only watched it yesterday, and it has literally been on my brain, like for the full day. Uh,
Where is it? You said it's on channel.
it is
I
on
know
a
channel
yes.
4 is like that's like UK. Do you know if it's is it on one of those services like BritBox or anything like
So
that in America?
yeah, so the best thing I could probably say is if you get a VPN or something like that, you can actually watch it for free on the Channel 4 website. You don't even need to log into
Mm.
anything. I get you can probably watch it there. I'll see if I can find other places where you could probably watch it if there is other places for America. But yes, if anyone is watching and they have a VPN and they're outside, they can literally just switch it to the UK and go to channel4.com, and they'll be literally it's there for free with just some ads. And there's
Yeah,
only 2 episodes out.
it sounds interesting, and it's definitely like it's relevant to
Mm-hmm. Yes.
to our time. So, yeah, it definitely sounds interesting for sure.
It really is. I've been fascinated by it. Russell T Davies said he wanted to get this out as soon as possible because he felt like it was more relevant now than ever. It's about obviously, literally, letting people don't let people. We have. It's about normalizing the hatred that we're seeing online, and obviously, and I think he puts into perspective way better than I think he ever has. Well, okay, I won't say that because there are some other stuff he's done that I haven't seen that he could have done. I'm mostly talking
Hmm.
about when he's come to Doctor Who. I feel like he's been a little bit off the mark with trying to bring topics to the public, and it's just not quite worked. At least more recently, but this I
Yeah,
feel like I think the reason is the main character is a 60-year-old who has been an LGBTQ plus person, and that is what Russell T Davies is. So I think the fact he's writing it from someone who's his age, it comes across way more clearer of what he's trying to get across. Whereas with Doctor
it's
Who, he's trying to
probably
write younger
right.
characters, and I don't think he's
I mean,
trying. It's quite.
he's also writing like Doctor Who is essentially like a superhero,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like
Yeah,
now he's writing something with like some of his lived experience anyway. So
yeah. I'm assuming.
it's more
Yeah.
authentic.
Exactly. It definitely feels a lot more authentic than what I've seen in more recent Doctor Who. And a lot of people
Yeah, yeah,
obviously
yeah.
thought that, he was kind of like maybe he's not quite there anymore for writing shows after they saw Doctor Who, but then I've seen some people say, "Oh, actually, I take that back. I've seen this. I think he absolutely knows what he's doing. He just maybe his heart just wasn't quite in the place for Doctor Who when it came out. But
Yeah,
Tiptoe definitely
exactly.
is for sure."
Interesting. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's all we can do for now. We've given our two
Well,
things we watched this week.
this will conclude. So for anybody watching these, I'm going to do. We're basically each doing our own little segment on our individual YouTube channels, but
Mm.
we thought it would be fun to talk about what something that we each watched every week. So if you are enjoying these, please leave a comment, leave a like, and check out both of our channels if you're able to. We'll be hopefully talking about a lot of film and a lot of television for a long time to come.
Hopefully we will. Yeah, check out obviously Obsession and Tiptoe if you fancy. Have a good one.